Hi, Dan here. I hope you're doing really well today. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you that bass line, which is going to work on, amongst other things, hand shifting, alternate plucking, speed, strength, stamina, and what fingers to use when you're playing a bass line. So that's 128 beats per minute. You can download that drum beat, but not to worry. If that sounds too difficult, too quick for you, I'm going to show you how we can slow it right down, even with that drum beat. So you'll also be working on your timing here. So let's look at the bass line. Here we go. It's sort of based around D minor. Quite simple in terms of notes. We've got 5th fret, A string, that's the D. And then we've got the octave higher 7th fret of the G string. Now this is what I'm suggesting to use in terms of fingering. There's the numbers underneath, you can follow those. But sometimes, very often actually, when I play an octave, I'll play first finger on the lower note and little finger, not third finger, because I find that it reduces the stretch, or the bend rather, in the wrist, and I find it easier. But for today, I am playing with my third finger. In terms of plucking, it's alternate all the way in this lesson. It's quite a hard thing to, when you're doing 16th notes and you're jumping across strings, it's hard to get that consistent. That's one of the points of this lesson. But for now, no drum beat. You can use a metronome later, but no drum beat or no metronome. Just slow it down. So fingers 1, 3, 1, and 3 again. So there's those two Ds. C on the 5th fret of the G string. A on the 7th fret of the D string. Now here is our first shift. That's a shift going from your third finger being on the 7th fret of the D string, and if you see where your first finger is at this point, it's on the 5th fret of the D string. So now you've got to take a smooth but quick jump down to the 3rd fret. And there must be no gap between those notes. It's as if there's no shift going on. Often when there's a hand shift, there's a little slight gap, so we want to eliminate that. So that's an F on the 3rd fret of the D string, followed by a G on the 5th fret. These are all 16th notes, but I'll show you something later where you can slow it down. We've now got C to C sharp, 3rd fret, 4th fret, 3rd fret to 4th fret on the A string. And this is the next bit that requires a very, very smooth transition, and it's all to do with the hand shift and the timing between the hands. This really works on strength, accuracy, stamina, and coordination. So, do you see that? Fingers 1 to 2, and then you perform a shift again to make your first finger play the 5th fret of the A string, back to the D again. Whole thing. Next time round's very similar, but there's a slight variation at the end. The chromatic notes happen on the D string now, so we go F, F sharp, G. And here we've got that shift again. So 3rd fret to 5th fret. Whole thing. If playing along to the drum beat at 120 beats per minute is too fast now, do what I'm doing now, which is no metronome, just piecing everything together. And what I'm really focusing on now is getting the mechanics right, meaning that I am always, in this instance, plucking alternately, and I'm really making sure that I've got the correct fingers in the correct place and that the shifts are happening smoothly, even at this speed. There. Let me show you what you can do though. Download this drum beat for free and the PDF. And what you can do is you can play along to the drum beat, but instead of playing 16th notes, you can play 8th notes And then you can actually play quarters as well. So you can practice playing in time with a little bit of pressure that a drum loop gives you, but much slower than I was playing. Let me show you. I'm going to do eighths and then I'll do quarters. That way, you are still working on your timing, but you're playing much slower than at 120 beats per minute with 16th notes. So give that a go. I think that will really help. But really, the ultimate aim is to play the 16th notes. You don't have to use this drum beat, by the way. You can set your own metronome rather than 120 beats per minute. Let's say that 90 beats per minute is what your limit is at the moment. Well, that's fine. Set your metronome there, or find a drum loop that's at 90 beats per minute. And then just, if you want to develop speed and accuracy and strength, you have to do this every day. I think that's pretty obvious. But just notch the BPM up, 2 to 3 every other practice session and just see where you go. Let's just quickly talk about that plucking. So it's alternate plucking. So I'm starting with the index finger, and that just means going index, middle, all the way. Octaves can be quite a challenge because you're jumping over a string. Now, what am I doing with my thumb? There are so many different ways of doing this that I'm going to leave it up to you. But I'm putting my thumb, sort of floating thumb technique or muting technique, which is just where you place the side of your thumb against, in this case, the E string, just to stop that from ringing. You can put your thumb on the E string to achieve the same effect. And of course, some people put their thumb on the pickup. Now, one of the reasons that I'm using this method is that my plucking hand fingers have less of a jump to do the closer that I am down towards the floor, if you see what I mean. So if I'm doing those 2 octaves of the D and the D on the 5th fret, D on the 7th fret, G string, if I were to be on the pickup, that's absolutely fine. I'm almost like pivoting like this. Immediately after using my middle finger, the index finger is on its way to play that G string. So it doesn't matter where you are with it, that's got to be the case. Because if you keep it here, it's just got too much distance to travel. I see that quite a lot where the plucking hand fingers aren't getting to where they need to be quick enough, and you just have to slow that down. You could just do this. I'm just playing 2 low Ds, 2 high Ds, back and forwards. There is a slight movement going on. Now we're going 1, 2 every time there are 2 notes. So in terms of the pattern, it's quite easy. Index, middle, the whole way. Now, what might happen is that you feel that you're getting tripped up a bit and that the notes aren't coming as smoothly as that. So again, it's just slowing it down. And if there is a problem anywhere, you just need to work out where the problem is and why. It could be that you're stumbling on this alternate plucking thing, and maybe you're going index, middle, index, something like that. So you just have to be very, very, responsible with your own technique, and just, a lot of people look at this hand and not this hand. So you've just got to be aware of what's happening, figure out where that bottleneck is in your technique, and go about fixing it. Right, one more thing. I'm just going to go 8th notes into 16th notes. I find that's just really good for strength and stamina, that kind of half speed to the full speed of it. And even as I'm playing, I'm a little bit out of practice now. I can feel a good slight burn in my wrists here. I've been playing for a long time, so I know that that's not a bad pain. If you do feel real strains going on, especially in tendons and, you know, in your fingers and things like that, it's probably a signal to stop practice for that day. Okay, so if you're just new to bass or coming back after a while away, you've got to be a bit sensible with stuff like this, you know. Slow it right down, do the quarter note version and then the eighth note version before you start that real hard, relentless 16th note. I find playing to a drum beat just inspires me more. It gets me playing more and keeps me playing in a practice session. And that's right now, that's what I need. I need a bit of coordination, speed, strength. I need to get my fingers back to where they were before I stopped playing. I went away for a bit. So that's why that was the case. Now, if you do want more bass guitar exercises, I've got a ton on my website and YouTube channel. I'll put a link down below to that. But I also have a book of 70 really musical sounding exercises that if you are in need of a few to practice, then you might think about checking that out. Please do subscribe. Please like the video, because apparently that helps spread the word and I want to help as many bass players as I can. If you do have any bass related questions, please do drop me a line. I love hearing from people, and I'll help as much as I can. Thanks very much for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you on the next one.